Good evening and welcome to News Live on the Sailing Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Daphne Kimamakoli. In this edition of News Midterm Population and Housing Census gets underway. President encourages Sierra-Leoneans to participate fully. Human Rights Day, ACC makes new pledge to defeat the greatest enemy of human rights, corruption. And government and partners launch initiative to reduce infant and maternal mortality in Sierra Leone. All the stories and more, including sports and entertainment, lined up in this edition of News. But first, let's take our coronavirus preventive message.
You see where them people here wear the mask, them fine? Well, now so you suffer wear your mask. Cover your nose and you must all them with the near other person.
Or make sure you get yourself vaccinated. And our President Julius Maada has called on Sierra Leoneans to participate fully in the 2021 Midterm Population and Housing Census that started on Friday, December 10th. He made this call when the team from Statistics Sierra Leone visited his household on Friday morning to count his household. Our State House correspondent Tawa Mosiri has the details.
Midterm census is a standard internationally recognized practice, and a country like Sierra Leone that is embarking on fundamental structural changes, the availability of up-to-date information is crucial for the effective implementation of plans and programs at all levels. The midterm census will also allow us to update data collected during the 2015 census, check the statuses of localities in the country, update Statistics Sierra Leone cartographic databases, set baselines, and capture progress of specific national goals. Minister of Planning and Economic Development Dr. Francis Kaikai told the President that Statistics Sierra Leone had worked hard for the 2021 midterm population and housing census to start across the country, and that they were at his residence to assure him that they are ready and well prepared for the process. Before the start of the counting process, President Julius Maada commended Statistics Sierra Leone for the hard work, as he has been following all they have been doing. He said he was very proud of them for targeting the entire country and making sure that all Sierra Leoneans are included, and called on Sierra Leoneans to participate fully, as the process is an important one.
Not always that we should resort to politics. And as you can see, you've done the preparation with the support and collaboration of a lot of actors around the country, in the villages, in the towns, in the cities, which means you have the support. As I've always said, it is us, the politicians, who are impeding the development of this country. This is a simple process. It has been done before, and you have upgraded your skills, and you want to do it again. And like you said, you substantiate it with the support of others why you want to do the midterm census. So if no one is afraid of what they have done in the past, they should not be worried about what the outcome of this census is going to be. You've counted before. Let me count again. Why are you worried about what is going to be the result of my own counting when we have a professional body that has gone through all the stages and is prepared? We should give you the chance, and I want to appeal to Sierra Leoneans around the country. This is a very important process.
Statistician General Professor Usman Sanko explained how the process started, with support from different partners that also provided trainings for staff and enumerators during the various exercises. Giving a brief background, he said the process started in 2018 when they first identified issues as an institution that have been providing credible and responsible data for national development. They couldn't do it by then. After noting the gaps, the institution then asked United Nations Population Fund for activities to sponsor the trip of the consultant who worked with Statistics Sierra Leone team in 2015. He was presented with the gaps they had identified and requested to advise on the best way forward. He worked with the office for 1 month and recommended the statistics needed to return to the field and the outreach.
Your Excellency, sir, if the issues that we discovered were just on a specific location in the country, the census would not have been necessary. We would have just gone straight to that part of the country and re-enumerate, and we would be fine. But the issues were spread across, and this is what we keep explaining about type 3 localities. These are localities that are spread across the rural areas, which would need to put them together and form an enumeration area. So if yesterday I presented with Parliament and then everyone saw it, okay, yes, there is a need for this to happen.
The counting of President Bill's household was done by statistician Finda Sharif, who asked series of questions relating to the process. SRBC TV News are in Freetown. Hawa Mosure reporting.
Civil society organizations are active in the processes of the census. They serve as a check and ensure that due procedures and best practices are maintained. The Monitoring and Evaluation Officer, Civil Society Consortium on Service Delivery, Hassan Kamar, spoke to us.
For World Bank to withdraw from the census at the eve of the census was uncalled for. They did not do justice to this country, neither did they do justice to the people of this country, because they have committed their time, they have committed their resources, they have committed their technical expertise into the entire process. Now we are coming to the actual process to take place at the eve of the census and then the backup. You know, everybody can see that one as a complete dishonesty to the people of this country. We as civil society looking at service delivery, we do not see that press release as something that is good for our nation, because having committed your resources, your time, everything into the entire process, we thought that we are going to continue the process. After they have finished the entire process, they will come and sit down and then say, hey, this was what went on good, this was what did not go on well. So that was what we were expecting from them. But all of a sudden, we just saw a press release at the eve of the process saying that they are withdrawing their technical assistance and the remaining funds that they were supposed to disburse to census.
And in what good conscience would you have acted? Because at the point, perhaps all of what you've done might not show well.
Yes,
will that have any positive impact on the decision the World Bank had taken?
Yes, because I'm sure I'm well of the opinion that what we did as a protest, as a consortium, but that is just not just a single organization. It is, you know, an umbrella of various different civil sector organizations looking at accountability, service delivery, children, a lot of other host of sectors. So all of us came together. We had this one initiative. This thought that what World Bank did at that particular moment was never good for the people of this country. So we asked them, because our protest, the aim of our protest was to ask them, A, to withdraw that letter, B, to continue supporting the process until it ends, C, if that does not create any impact like we have mentioned, or let's say, for instance, if the process go on and we see people of this country do not comply as expected, we are going to hold World Bank responsible. And that was why we went further to ask them that the country should resign, and also the statistician and the advisor of World Bank, Elizabeth Foster, has to resign too. But she was actually a technical person that would have given a better advice to the World Bank lead for them not to do so at that moment. But she did not. So we thought it's wise that she has to resign.
So, eventually, if the World Bank decides not to heed what you've said, what can you do?
So we are still on the process, and that is why we ask government yesterday, also in the process, that government has to review all World Bank activities in the country. Yeah, we have asked them to do that also, and then we will continue to monitor the process until we see them coming back or to withdraw their letter that, hey, we are going to come back. That was a thing on our side. But if they don't, then we are still going to continue to do our civil protest, to ensure that we do what is expected of us as citizens of this country, and also as World Bank, because that has been, we know, yes, government of Sierra Leone can fund the census 100%. It is in the Act, it is in the Census Act. Yeah, we know that, but they have started already. So we want to see that marriage to continue amongst the government of Sierra Leone and that of the World Bank. So we are still asking as CSOs on service delivery that the World Bank still continue to support the statistics Sierra Leone to go on with the census. In as much as we are still fighting the battle between World Bank and the people of this country, but we are still calling on our people not to relent, because census is about development. If you are not counted, how can government be able to cater for you? So we are asking all Sierra Leoneans to actually put politics aside and then to concentrate on the census itself, so that if they are counted, government will be able to do a proper planning for the nation, like in terms of healthcare, road facility, water, electricity, vis-a-vis, and even good education. But if we say we are going to politics on this thing, it will not go well at the end of the day.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. God bless you.
That was the Civil Society Consortium on Service Delivery National Monitoring and Evaluation Officer Hassan Kamal. Meanwhile, the Civil Society Consortium on Service Delivery has held a protest in front of the World Bank office on Sporwood, calling on the resignation of the statistician advisor World Bank Elizabeth Foster, based on a decision made by the World Bank to withhold funds for the Midterm Housing and Population Census 2021. According to them, the letter was untimely, taking into consideration that their action came almost 48 hours before the start of the protest. Let's now join Esther Sako for the report.
These are activists from the Civil Society Consortium on Service Delivery demonstrating with placards that kicks against the decision by World Bank to withdraw its support for the population and housing census just a few hours before it was to begin. The World Bank was to provide the bulk of money for the census using an unspecified portion of a $30 million grant marked for Sierra Leone last year to strengthen its statistical process. According to the chairperson, Civil Society on Service Delivery, William Sao Lamin, the World Bank's decision is untimely, especially since the census is a people's census, and if cancelled will be a big loss.
That census is not just for elections. The census has to do with a lot of other institutions in Sierra Leone. A lot of other developmental institutions in Sierra Leone have to use that particular data for them to be able to do their job.
Activists say it's an embarrassment for Sierra Leoneans as President Bio has already announced the start of the census, and it's wrong for World Bank to withdraw their support at this time. They said that if the census goes wrong, World Bank will be held responsible. SRBC News, Esther Sako reporting.
The head of public education and outreach at the Anti-Corruption Commission, Patrick Sandy, has said that deprivation of fundamental human rights as a result of corruption was in itself a violation of human rights. He made this statement at the Special Court Complex in Freetown in an engagement organized by the Residual Special Court for Sierra Leone. Dennis Fraser has the report. A non-governmental organization, We Care Solar, together with Ministries of Health and Energy, has launched the Light Every Breath Sierra Leone project. The initiative seeks to provide 1,040 solar suitcases, according to the facilitators, was to reduce number of infants and maternal mortality in the country. Amnata Fofana reports.
According to a recent survey report by United Nations, 1 out of 10 children usually dies before age 5 in Sierra Leone. Most health centers and peripheral health units are challenged with lack of adequate or no electricity supply. This is said to be the major cause for infant and maternal mortality, especially in deprived communities.
Their only voice is you and I. To advocate for better infrastructure, to advocate for better lighting, to advocate for improved services so that they can do their work effectively. We care so much share the pain of health workers, of mothers, and newborns. We care. And so we should care, understand that their role is to be appreciated.
So, the launching of Light Every Birth Sierra Leone project, which saw the provision of 1,040 solar suitcases, was described as a very timely effort and a national campaign to reduce infant and maternal mortality.
WeCare Solar has designed a solution called WeCare Solar Suitcase, which provides the first access to reliable light and electricity to health workers as they support mothers in labor. It gives health workers the power to save lives.
He went on, partnership with government in such developmental strides is crucial. Deputy Minister of Energy Dr. Eldred Taylor said the move was in line with President Biyo's drive to provide renewable energy to citizens.
The actions and efforts goes to complement the actions and efforts of government, because our primary role, our primary mandate basically is to improve energy access.
He asserted that the ministry will ensure the distribution of the solar suitcases to all districts. SRBC News, Aminata Fofana.
Now, some lawmakers have urged the Ministries of Lands and Fisheries to look into the issues of environmental impact assessment, compensation of landowners, and the quantum of land for the construction of a modern fish harbour at Black Johnson community. MPs were raising concerns following the presentation of a survey report of the site at Black Johnson being the site identified for such infrastructure by the Minister of Lands and Country Planning, Dr. Census. Our parliamentary correspondent Joseph Ture has more.
The survey report of the site at Black Johnson for the construction of a modern fish harbour saw a bipartisan interest during the debate. For some, the document was not controversial, and when due processes would have been completed on the said project, more jobs will be created, as well as the fish sector contributing greatly to the gross domestic product of the country. They argued that lawmakers should look at the bigger picture as it will diversify the economy.
And I'm sure it's not anything that is controversial. It is something that across the board we want for our people of this country. We know what the sanity this particular program will bring to this country. We know the benefits we'll get. We have outlined all these ones in our interventions here. So all I can say is, Mr. Minister of Lands, thank you very much for this work you've done. It's great, and I know you have spent so much time and effort to make sure that we have this. The only thing I would say on behalf of our people down there, let us make sure to compensate them and compensate them well.
We think having a fish harbour instituted or constructed in this country is a very new way to actually ensure that economic diversification becomes part of our system.
Amidst their support to the process, some lawmakers had concerns over environmental impact assessment, compensation to landowners, and the quantum of land for the construction of a modern fish harbour at Black Johnson community.
If we are consistent with the existing environmental laws and the one we're working on, there is a time period during which you do an EI, environmental impact assessment. That is also a very detailed technical report. How can we approve a survey to allocate a land without looking at environmental impacts on the land, on the landowners, and the blue economy? So my opinion is we're putting the cart before the horse.
I also want this noble house to take into consideration the quantum of land, 252 acres. I believe, in my own genuine opinion, that's too much. In as much as we are here to represent our people, we know what is good for them. We should also
present a genuine case.
The House also ratified an agreement between the government of Sierra Leone and Miro Forestry Sierra Leone Limited. The agreement is believed to create the space for the private sector company to export processed timber, plant millions of trees to tackle climate change, create jobs and provide revenue for the government. SRBC, Joseph Toure reporting.
Sierra Leone Network on the Right to Food has received a West African Caravan delegation from Banjul, Gambia. The Caravan is a convergence of actors in the global struggle for responsible governance of land, water, food and the environment. Jonathan Turner has the details.
The Caravan is an event that aims at strengthening the awareness of grassroots communities to engage decision makers for the improvement of policies and legislation for a progressive, fair and equitable governance of land, water and seeds for social transformation in West Africa. This takes into account family farming based on agroecology for food sovereignty. The West African Caravan takes place every 2 years and brings together various stakeholders to demand government's actions towards responsible governance of land, water and seeds.
And they have failed to deliver on rural development policies or agricultural development policies that benefit the local population, also improve their food security and their prospects of for improved livelihoods. So basically, this policy bridge wants to bring down challenges faced by rural communities as a result of the operations of multinational companies, mainly those in large-scale agribusiness.
The discussion centered on the promotion and awareness of duty bearers and local communities on food security, advocacy for the involvement of women and youth in land governance, and the inclusion of secured access to land for the realization of the right to food. Further discussion focused on the submission of a policy brief to the government of Sierra Leone on responsible land governance and the impacts of large-scale investment on the right to food were the thrust of the visit.
The economic conditions are also a clear environmental and sustainable use of natural resources, such as the water, soil, energy and mineral resources, and their security at both local and national level, including availability, affordability, and accessibility to all. This all is very important because the issue of health is related to access, affordability, and all these sustainability of the resources.
It is expected that the Caravan will foster food sufficiency in the country, as it is expected to bring together 450 national participants and 257 international participants who are mainly actors working on issues around land, water, food security and the environment. For SRBC News, Jonathan Turner reporting.
The Sierra Leone ambassador to Benelux countries and EU Ambassador Samuel Musa has had an engagement with members of the Lux Africa Investment Association, talking about the One Sierra Leone Investment Board that comprises a Sierra Leonean think tank from all shades, headed by the Vice President. Ambassador Musa revealed that this board is principally engaged in accelerating inward investment. He said that even with low vaccination rates, the government and people of Sierra Leone have managed to place the infection rate of COVID-19 at a relatively low level. The Vice President of Lux Africa Investment Association, Moop Farmer, said the organization was set up to create a win-win business relationship with Luxembourg and African countries and has organized economic missions with hosts of African countries, with financial institutions and entrepreneurs from Luxembourg. It was agreed at the end of the engagement to organize a productive economic seminar that would look into different projects in different sectors that would include the Luxembourg Chamber of Commerce. The ambassador is to submit a roadmap for an economic mission to Sierra Leone, and while he was in Luxembourg, Ambassador Musa and team met with the European Investment Bank and members of the House of Finance, where issues of development and investment in Sierra Leone were discussed. And now the move to get the Gender Empowerment Bill passed in Parliament has been intensified of late. In that light, Action Aid and partners have engaged lawmakers through lobbying to see to the passage of the said bill. A parliamentary correspondent, Joseph Toure, engaged the Human Rights Officer, Action Aid Sierra Nyanda Afode, on the move of lobbying to parliamentarians.
Up the orange, and the yellow stands for the support of the Gender Empowerment Bill that is presently being laid in the well of Parliament. So we are here to lobby with our parliamentarians, our lawmakers, for them to support this bill, the Gender Empowerment Bill. We are here to seek their support on this bill.
So you think, how hopeful are you after this lobbying and cajoling? Do you think this will go a long way to seeing that the gender bill is being passed here?
We are hopeful, particularly with the reception received so far. You can see from what you saw earlier when we were pinning them up, they've shown acceptance towards the bill. Some of them have expressed their support towards the bill. So we are hopeful that this bill will be supported by our lawmakers.
Okay, finally, sensitization is very key. So can you tell us how far have you gone to sensitize the whole population, including women and girls?
Action Aid is a member of the steering committee since the inception of this bill. So we have been sensitizing women, girls, men. Mind you, we need the support of the men. This bill, for it to be effective, not just for it to become law, for it to be implemented, men, we also need the support of you men. So we have been sensitizing women, men, girls, and we are hopeful that once it is made as law, it will be accepted and it will go on smoothly.
So what is the main objective of this particular bill? What do you want to achieve as women?
We want women to be acknowledged. We want women to have more safer spaces in politics, in the home, in wherever a woman is found. We want the women to be safe.
Well, that was the Human Resource Officer, Action Aid Sierra Leone, Nyanda Afode, ending that interview with our parliamentary correspondent, Joseph Toure. Still to come on news, our family and well-wishers of the late retired Brigadier General John Ade Oluwole Jatoka attend a civic laying-out ceremony and sign the Book of Condolence. And the National HIV and AIDS Secretariat reveals grim statistics of people living with HIV and AIDS in Sierra Leone. This and more coming up after the break. Welcome back. You're watching News Hour live on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation with me, Daphne Kimamakoli. The family and well-wishers of the late Brigadier General retired John Ade Oluwole Jatoka have joined the Freetown City Council to attend a civic laying-out ceremony and sign a book of condolence at the lobby of the new City Hall. Cecilia Sise witnessed the ceremony and now reports.
Prestigiously paying their last respect, the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces, RSLAF, solemnly marched in the corpse of Brigadier retired John Jatoka. The deceased was a patriotic Sierra Leonean who served the military from 1977 to 2013 in numerous positions, including the commanding officer, director of defense, logistics and support, chief of staff and assistant chief of defense staff before he retired as brigadier general in May 2013. This proves that the late brigadier retired Junja Tucker was made for the military and the military was made for him. Representatives from the President and Vice President, Minister of Defense, Chief of Defense Staff, Deputy Mayor of Freetown, Acting Coordinator ONS, President Sierra Leone Grammar School Old Boys Association and other well-wishers signed the Book of Condolence. Another friend of the deceased, William Safar, said he was a God-fearing Sierra Leonean known for his integrity and disciplinary actions.
As a military officer, he was conscious until when he retired. He touched so many lives by his selfless and countless acts of kindness, always giving and never expecting any favors in return.
In the midst of life we're in death, but by death we're united in Christ. May the soul of Brigadier retired John Ade Oluwole Jatoka rest in perpetual peace. SRBC News Hour, Cecilia Sisi.
May his soul rest in perfect peace. About 78,000 people are currently living with HIV and AIDS in the country, with young people of ages 18 to 24 more prone to the virus. This is according to the nationwide profiling and vulnerability assessment report by the National HIV and AIDS Secretariat and its partners on people living with HIV and AIDS in Sierra Leone. Amnata Fofana has the details.
The nationwide profiling and vulnerability assessment report on people living with HIV/AIDS, conducted by the National HIV/AIDS Secretariat in collaboration with UNDP, UNAIDS and WHO, was to capture data of all people living with HIV/AIDS and level of vulnerability, as this will enable donor partners to address patient social protection and enhance nutritional support. From the report, it was captured that among the 78,000 people living with HIV/AIDS, women are in majority and only about 42,000 of them are on treatment.
You have to keep in mind that half of the population living with HIV are on treatment. So this is a limitation of the study itself, that we are not capturing those who live out there who are not on the treatment and are most likely even more vulnerable than those who are currently receiving treatment.
She further admonished all to end inequalities against people living with HIV/AIDS through effective HIV/AIDS sensitive social protection programs. Director General National HIV/AIDS Secretariat Abdul Rahman Sise said several challenges were faced by people living with HIV/AIDS, citing discrimination and abandonment as mostly prevalent from family members and communities. He said social norms, legal access, referrals and coordination are barriers in delivering of social protection services to people living with HIV/AIDS.
Also, as we speak, there's also a gender work group really working. So, and other constituency is so large that we need to split ourselves to ensure that everything moves along.
Mr. Siste also recommended livelihood and economic empowerment supports to be provided to patients to enhance productive and dignified lives and a more proactive free healthcare services. Deputy Minister of Health and Sanitation Dr. Anthony Sandi said HIV/AIDS has been a major health issue in the country, and the government has made it a priority to ensure 95% of people living with HIV/AIDS gain access to viral treatment.
The profiling and vulnerability assessment report we are about to launch today indicates a high proportion of people living with HIV. This group of people also have to battle with stigma and discrimination. With this characterization, there is a need to enhance adequate support to promote their health and well-being.
He further appealed to NACSA to continue its support to the Secretariat and urged all to give social protection to carriers of the virus, as it is an intervention to end the fight. Representatives from MDAs made commitments to support the fight against HIV/AIDS. SRBC News, Aminata Fofana.
The Competent Authority Unit, Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources, has engaged fish inspectors and fish business operators across the country. According to the Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, Emakoa Jalo, the training is to ensure that the fishing sector meets European Union standards of handling and processing of fish. Esther Sako was there and now reports.
Fishing has been a source of livelihood for young as well as old, and production of fish entails different stages, and producers should be able to undergo all the criteria as necessary. According to the Deputy Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, Ibrahim Toure, the training is important as it will help in replicating and making sure that fisheries products are good for human consumption.
Our integrity lies on your activities down here. Analysis that do occur at the point of at the other countries where our fish will be going, and if they find out any problems with the fish in terms of the quality, our competence, our integrity will be at stake.
Director of Fisheries Khadija Jallo said fish producers and inspectors will learn more on hygiene and sanitation for fishing establishment, improve handling, processing plants, and many more. Different fishes are found in our waters, but some tend to have viruses that could cause harm to people, and so there is need for fish inspectors to be present where fish production is in progress. They are responsible for monitoring fish production before exporting out of the country.
You are there to represent the Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, you are there to represent the Permanent Secretary, and you are there to represent myself, the competent authority head of the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources. The fisheries observers, you are the first sanitary officers or quality managers at the outstations. You are the first sanitary officers and quality managers on board the fishing vessels.
The participants were happy for such training as it will help them improve their fish production. SRBC News, Esther Sako reporting.
The Ecoid New Sembao City Council has launched the Wastewise Ecoid project in Kono District. The project will enhance the capacity of the Ecoid New Sembao City Council to sustainably manage waste and resources and move towards a circular economy. From Kono, Alfred Joseph Koma sent in these details.
The Associate Officer, Solid Waste Management, Urban Basic Services Section, Global Solutions Division, United Nations Habitat Nairobi, Francesca Kalisesi, said in 2018 the United Nations Habitat launched the Wastewise Cities program under the slogan, My Wise, My Responsibility, and more than 210 cities have become members.
So I would like to start by communicating with the Mr. Comrade, who actually was close that he took my feet with the evaluation of his treatment study, we follow or regular waste management.
The According to Madam Kalisesi, a need assessment was done in Koidu City in 2019 that captured the city under the project in a bid to manage the uncontrolled waste in the city. The Wastewise project will be increasing the amount of municipal solid waste collected and management of the sanitary landfill by working with youth groups, increasing the recycling rate of waste and sensitizing Koidu citizens and other stakeholders to embrace the project. She noted that the 16-month project will improve on the facility in the district on waste management. The mayor of Koidu New Semihon City Council, Kamba Matthew Sam, said that the project will provide more opportunity for the council in controlling waste and converting it to valuable materials.
According to the implementation and the activities under review, it is about $4,000, which is approximately 240 million euros, something around that figure. That is the amount involved in the entire project cycle that is going to take place within 16 months. My expectation to the citizens and as a mayor is that I'm talking to my people to see how best we take care of our waste, to see how best we manage the city to be one of the cleanest cities in this country, and not even in Sierra Leone but across the sub-Saharan Africa, to ensuring that people have the awareness and we serve as change agents to popularize waste activity in this municipality.
The Paramount Chief, SWAT Chiefdom PC Tamba Emmanuel Toche Foyo, who doubles as the Chairman Steering Committee on Waste Management, commended the United Nations Habitat for supporting the Council in the area of waste management and called on the people of Kono District to support the project in a bid to actualize the Council's vision in keeping the city clean.
For citizens in the Western area to gain more access to information about happenings in all ministries, departments and agencies, while to access information, an institution established by an Act of Parliament to ensure the public access information accordingly to their request, has relaunched its data center at their headquarters on Kutown Road. The Commissioner of Right to Access Information Commission Western Region, Mohamed Sisi, has been speaking to our reporter Amnata Fofana about the facility.
Well, the data center has been in existence for some years, but it was not in use for some time for certain reasons, which I will not explain. But now we are going to relaunch it so that, as the name goes, right to access information, for us to give opportunity to people of the general public to be able to access information through us.
So let's talk about the facilities of this center.
The center has got 4 computers and a printer. And aside from that, all the computers are connected to internet, and the printer that we have a certain amount of papers that you can give to every individual that comes in, so that they can be able to use and print at the same time. And it is open to all members of the public. The data center is a help in itself, but we are appealing to the general public that they should continue to make their request to all public authorities. And the definition of a public authority is not limited only to those who are working for the public, but any individual or any company that does business with an MD or a public authority has become a public authority in itself. So requests can be made from those public authorities also, as the definition, as the Act defines a public authority. It's not just you that work there, a minister and things like that, but like these contractors, people that do business with government, they become public authorities also. And as for the question you asked about the challenges of people giving information, The matter is that you just have to give the information. That's what the law says. The RAI Act or the RAI law says you must give information. It is a law, and there are penalties if you refuse to give information. The facility already exists in all the 4 regions.
Would that going to be a relaunch?
There's not going to be a relaunch because the matter about them, well, there is what we call popularization. All of them, the other 3 regions have done that already. They've gone on radio, they've invited community people to tell them that this facility was always existing here.
Well, that was the Commissioner Western Area Right to Access Information Commission, Mohammed Sisse. Now let's go over for some entertainment news.
Hello and welcome to our entertainment desk. I am Maria Tudugwe. Drizzly, one of our top new school rappers in Sierra Leone, visited his alma mater, Albert Academy, ahead of his show on the 12th of December at Radisson Blue Mamiro Hotel Tennis Court. In a recent post, a court bench warrant is out for our rapper LAJ for reasons not disclosed yet. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have in this edition of Entertainment News. I have been Maria Tudugwe. Thanks so much for watching. Keep watching the SRBC.
Well, many thanks so much to the Caravan for Entertainment News. Now let's go for the latest in sports.
Hello and welcome to Sports Updates on the News with me, Francis. In this edition, medals and trophies for the Western Area Football Association Under 12 and Under 15 international competitions have been unveiled. The competition, which commences on Friday, will target 8 clubs in the Western Area. Let's join Esther Mari Samoa for more on this.
This junior football competition geared towards promoting youth football in the Western Area. The league will see 7 under 15 football clubs in Freetown, including Legend FC, FC Calon Junior, Orthodox Football Clubs, among others, and the African New Star Sports Academy FC from Liberia competing in the tournament. In the under 12 category, 6 teams, including Real Mac FC, Orthodox FC, Calon FC, and African New Star Sports Academy FC from Liberia, will also battle it out for the championship. At the end, this maiden edition of the Western Area Football Association Junior International Competition will foster youth football development in Sierra Leone.
And the purpose of this is to see how we can be able to integrate the integration of youth football within the sub-region. It cuts across Sierra Leone, the districts in the region of the country as a whole. And now,
to end the news, a recap of the main points. Now, President Julius Maada Bio has called on Sierraleoneans to participate fully in the 2021 Midterm Population and Housing Census. Well, that's for this edition of News, and now let's go over to the Bar Association dinner.
A senior person. So if you a senior person, I don't know say they are male or no. The kind of event is